Be strong.
Today's sort of roundtable, Damon and we want to talk about the idea of using war themes in sports, and particularly team sports, and how appropriate we think that is, and what the performance effects are that you might get in terms of galvanizing teams through this idea of going to battle and using the war analogies. The whole stem of this topic for me came from watching a reserves grade coach give a bit of a rev up, a 3/4 time rev up, and saying about going into battle and trying to galvanize the troops and stuff and circle the wagons. And it's amazing how that actually gets people up, like that sort of stuff. Like, I know, but what I also know is that can only work for so long. Like, that's a short, like, you can't always do that, because that's it's almost like an extrinsic motivation. Like, it's not something that you can sustainably do. It's like a coach giving a spray. Like, if you give a spray every week, it loses its effect after all, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's if your coach is using it every week, it becomes a bit old, doesn't it? And you're going to start just probably looking at the roof or away from the coach and not really taking in what they're trying to get their point across. But yeah, when you come down to it from maybe like a psychological point, as you said, Rob, just prior to us actually coming on air, I was doing a little bit of reading up on psychology and that war themes and that sort of stuff. And I think it all comes back to that aggression point of view, where there's in sport, there's this idea that there's two sort of major forms of aggression, and stimulating that beforehand through like a rev up or something like that has been shown to sort of assist in that. But not all of your aggression in sport's going to come from that. Obviously, there's going to be internal motivators there as well. As you said, that's probably a bit more extrinsic when you've got the coach pumping you up. But like, it's not going to work every time, and it doesn't work for every athlete.
No, it's not. And I guess, and that's what we said. Like, you use those things for the short-term dosage, and you see where it can get you. And like, using those war themes and stuff, like, it's like, as we say, like, it revs anybody up listening to that sort of stuff. But then, like, what I guess it sort of comes like down to then is that appropriate? Do you reckon? Like, from like being a bit more mature now and sort of understanding a little bit more of what war and what it actually sort of is, like, comparing it to, or using the analogies and applying that to team sport, it just seems a bit inappropriate, really. Or for me, like, I'm a person who loves war, like, loves the history of war and reading about some of the things that happened, and it's very hard to make comparisons to the sporting field.
Yeah, I think like you're in war, particularly back in the day when it was you didn't really have a choice if you're involved in it or not. It was conscription, and you are made to go out there and do things that you probably should never have to do, and morally is not the right thing. But again, you're doing it for your country and the idea of freedom and that sort of stuff. So I think it is a bit over the top to link that to sport. Going out to battle in sport is for the 4 points or the 3 points each week. It's not for the sovereignty of your nation or to defend the world from evil or anything like that.
We'll see. Look, obviously, the distinct similarities are, let's be honest, it's the mateship, galvanizing a group of men to get a job done. That's like the two sort of main similarities there, and trying to defeat or overcome a potential obstacle. Like, there's sort of the three main ones I sort of see that get readily used and drawn upon. But I don't know, to me, I just now, like, being involved in sport for so long and seeing a few of these, I'm seeing a lot of ANZAC Day games now. I just feel like, geez, like, it's just such a long bow to draw to get the comparisons and stuff like that. And clubs are really good these days. Like, they'll go out to the shrine and they'll do a lot of research and find out what it was like for veterans and stuff like that. And that stuff's really good. And that aspect of drawing the two themes together is really good. Like, trying to understand and appreciate what the previous generations went through, but like to actually draw the comparisons and the line in the sand and all that sort of stuff, it just feels a bit tough to sort of to implement. Like if I was a coach, I reckon I'd use that stuff very sparingly, I'd say.
I would say these days it's probably a bit more respectful and a bit more about the veterans and respecting what's happened than you then using it as we play in ANZAC Day. It's a battle, and even I'd say the commentary and the punditry around it has probably gone away from it a bit as well. And I think, as you said, that the key takeaway is that mateship, or playing for like the badge on your shirt, which is the same as what the war was about, is the country that you're representing and what you're fighting for. And I guess it's the badge on your shirt, it's what you're fighting for. It's for the result. The implications of not winning, a bit different to not winning a war, but
that's it. Like, well, if you lose the game, then you'll probably get dropped, or you might play a reserve grade, or you might not. You might have a rest for a few weeks. But like the other implications for war are a bit different to that. Like like it's interesting, but like I suppose it comes about, and then when we talk about performance again, if that's the difference for a coach between winning and losing, like that rev up or trying to get every inch out of your players, then they're probably going to do that every time, aren't they? Like in terms of giving a rev up and using as many different analogies and trying to source different bursts of motivation from anywhere they can.
And that's probably just the changing role of a coach. It's not just about wins and losses now. It's about figuring out different ways to motivate your players. And so, there'd be a lot of time spent on research, and it's probably, you'd find that they've got different methods for different players rather than that, generalized whole group rev up. But
So a little bit of a brief sort of discussion there from Damon and I, but we really want to know what the people out there sort of think about like this sort of topic and what they sort of view in terms of using war themes in team sports and in terms of the effects on performance, and even like if you're a coach or a practitioner, your own sort of ethical beliefs on that and how you'd sort of apply it in a tasteful way and something that doesn't completely overinflate the role of sport in relation to war. So really want to open up a discussion on this and how it can be used and how it's thought upon, I guess, by the people out within that sports community. But from Damo and myself, we'll say bye for now.